Thank you, Declan. Now, a website called Storymap.ie is a unique website that collects the most interesting stories about Dublin, personal or historical, films them being told, and then maps them online. The stories range widely from literary memories in Grogan's pub, oddball characters like Bang Bang, to hysterical yams such as boxer Dan Donnelly's wandering arm. I went out and did a report to find out more from the creators of Storymap.
And as the Dubliners came onto the beach, so too did these 53 whales.
And those jewels are still missing today. They've never been recovered. There's still a £1,000 reward on offer for the successful recovery. And it's really one of the great unsolved mysteries of 20th century Ireland.
And I had no intention of money because I had a child every year. I was like a rabbit.
Since its launch in February this year, Storymap founders, young Dublin filmmakers Tom Rowley and Andrew Flaherty have filmed and uploaded 40 stories online that capture the diverse history and personality of Dublin. Storymap.ie continues to grow with an additional story added each week, creating a story map of the entire city. I caught up with Tom and Andrew and they explained to me the beginnings of Storymap.
Well, originally we were going to call ourselves What's the Story as a website, because just to catch on to that idea that storytelling wasn't just like something like an old bardic thing. It was very much just a everyday thing in Ireland. And unfortunately though, I think after a while UNESCO City of Literature launched with that as their slogan, and then we just decided, so as not to get confused, we dropped it and went for Storymap.
I think it was one of them things where we had so long organising and planning what we were going to do and like getting stories and stuff like that, that it's kind of just throwing around different names, and then we'd really like one and then get bored of it as time went on and kind of just moved away from essentially what we were, a map of stories, Storymap.
Yeah, I think the great thing about storytelling compared to other mediums is it is a direct communication of an experience from one person to another without being filtered through like a book or a movie or so. You know, it's very direct kind of communication of that person's personality and experience they had.
And it's something we kind of do naturally anyway. Like when you meet up with your friends, you always you just share stories, and that's especially in Ireland where the weather isn't too good. You end up sitting in the pub and trading war stories or, you know, romantic encounters. It's just something that comes natural, that anybody can do.
So you think that storytelling is a huge part of Irish culture, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, it's even the way we sometimes say hello is what's the story, you know? There's a nice self-deprecating part to Irish culture that I think finds expression through storytelling a lot. And yeah, I mean, a good sense of humour and imagination comes through it.
Of the 40 stories they've captured, one of the most memorable is from Maureen Grant, who tells the story of her life working in the Olympia Theatre in Dublin for over 65 years. Maureen takes time out to remember some of the ghosts that inhabit the theatre.
The famous Charlie Parker. He's on the rampage this weather. Of course, this is the time of the year now when he does be disturbed. But when you live with them for so long, you know they're around, you know. But there's actually two ghosts, but he's the most famous one and the longest one. At least the other ghost was alive when I come to work here. She was a dresser backstage, Annie. But she's still in the house because when the girls would go on stage, she'd go up to the box to sit there and watch and see that all the costumes were perfect on stage, you know. But there's times now, different shows, different times of the year, you can nearly feel that she's there in the middle box.
We do see it as the most effective way to tap into the local life of a city and the life of the city for locals. You can find out all the amazing little different new perspectives on the city that you never thought of. For visitors coming in, you get to tap into something that's actually real, that hasn't been manufactured for you by Fáilte Ireland or, you know, Dublin. This is a real vision of the city by the locals themselves with lots of charm. And we think this thing can move anywhere. I mean, it's the kind of thing that can expand to other cities as a completely fresh way to see a city. So we really want to we always want it in Dublin to be primarily something Dubliners enjoy, in terms of, we'd never make something specifically for tourists, but it's always with Dubliners in mind. But then, if visitors are coming in, they can tap into something really unique and authentic.
You know, one of these men that walk in front of a funeral with the tall hat, the long hair and the gloves and all that, and he'd be walking up and down the back of the gallery. So he has been seen. Thank God I've never seen him.
Now, if you like the idea of storymap.ie, you can actually support them if you go to fundit.ie, where they're actually trying to raise some money to actually get an iPhone app up and running. Check that out, please.